Obviously, the government would prefer to be talking about other topics.
You'd think the media circuit would slow down eventually. Surely there would be a break. Nope, there's not. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got a lawsuit regarding the Toronto Star. Got more on the floor crosser. We got a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off, conservative Roman Baber posting this: 50% of Canadians use credit cards to buy groceries. Art Carney can give them a break by lifting federal gas taxes, but he's not going to do that. Points out foreign aid spending from 24 to 25, $13 billion versus lifting the GST. Carney doesn't care. Moving ahead, we've got table salt with this. Breaking: Ontario becomes have-not province. GDP per capita tanks, now almost half that of New York State, coming from the Fraser Institute. So I mean, Ontario over here not doing so well. It's a little cut off. You can see the GDP per capita numbers here in CAD. 74,000 versus 134 for New York State. Canadians just don't get it. They don't get it. The Liberals are not going to bring us prosperity ever. Moving ahead, we've got Chris Brunette posting this. University of British Columbia posted a job for a tenured professor of forestry. Now, the kicker here is, for this position, applicants must identify as having a disability. You can see at the bottom. That's right. Associate Professor, Tier 2, Research Chair in Forestry, must identify as having a disability. Why? Why does that make them qualified for a job? This is why we're going downhill. We have stupidity in important places like universities. Got this one here from Global. It says Canadians are joining Catholic Church in record numbers. I'm not surprised. The floor crosser stuff is once again dominating the news cycle. And as I pointed out in the previous video, that's what the Liberals do. They cover it all up. The timing of Marilyn Gladu crossing the floor as Francois Philippe Champagne's massive conflict of interest with his wife and Alto just happens to be in the news. It's all too convenient. They always have another floor crosser whenever there's another big Liberal scandal. And we even have Scott Reed here saying that there's never been this many in such a short period of time.
We've never seen anything like this. We've never seen an election in 2025 and within 1 year, a stampede of 5 members of parliament from another party into the sitting government caucus, not as a move en masse, not as some realignment within the House of Commons, but just individual members of parliament saying, I've decided the party I ran for just months ago is no longer the party I wish to be aligned with. Instead, I'm going to cross the floor to this other party. This is a staggering political development.
Yeah, it's called corruption. Now, there's a lot of talk of whether this is bribery or if it's blackmail. I don't think it was blackmail based on how Marilyn was interacting with Carney during that little speech in the office there. Her body language didn't look like someone who's being blackmailed. She looked like she wanted to be there. Now, the question is why? You know, there's a lot of money that gets funneled over to gender sensitive this, that, and the other in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda and wherever else, in Africa, in China. We have a lot of money over in places like the Asian Infrastructure Bank. Does some of this money just happen to end up in a bank account that then it's transferred over to these people? Nobody knows, but we do know that there's millions of, not even millions, billions of dollars that go over to these places. Just the World Bank alone had $3.4 billion sent to it. And then when they were audited, they couldn't find the paper trail of where that money went. As we see on the Moose chart here, foreign affairs spending $3.488 billion from 2015 to 2025. And when Oxfam looked through the books of the World Bank, there was $41 billion that was unaccounted for. You're telling me that some of that money doesn't just end up in Liberal pockets whenever they need a floor crosser? I don't know. Could be. Where did this money go? Nobody knows. Now, Marilyn is getting some heat here in her own riding, as she should be, because it's a conservative stronghold and conservatives are pissed off.
A political bombshell in southwestern Ontario. Marilyn Gladu's floor crossing to the Liberals on Wednesday, sparking both outrage and optimism in her Sarnia area riding.
It's extreme betrayal. I'm a conservative. I voted for conservative policies. She basically just eradicated my vote.
I don't like it. I voted conservative, and those are my views. I'm not a Liberal, and I voted for her based on being a conservative, not a Liberal.
She really cares about the people of Sarnia. She will do well for us, but I really believe she's made a moral choice to switch to a party that is all about Canada. You know, we're Team Canada.
Yeah, there's a Liberal voter right there. We're Team Canada, completely brainwashed.
Gladu has represented the region in Parliament for more than a decade. She won last year's race with more than 40,000 votes. A longtime Conservative MP, Gladu's announcement left many shocked, including some of her previous challengers.
She's the last Conservative MP I would have expected this from. I'll put it that way.
This morning, when it first hit from Mr. Cart from the Prime Minister's office, I looked at it and I thought, no, April 1st has come and gone, hasn't it? And
You got to wonder, is Carney sending a message here saying that he can get to anyone in his party, even someone who's very conservative? Then one must ask, is there blackmail? Do they have some dirt on her? Or is there a bank account in Africa or China or at the World Bank or somewhere else that's being flushed right now?
Berg said he's got some concerns about Gladu's track record, but wants to talk with her first about the reason for her move. He and Kilner say it does give the border region a spot at the government table.
What's amazing, too, is she's pro-life, and it's already come out that she will vote with the government, opposing her own values.
To be clear, the Liberal Party always will support the rights of women to choose. Always, without question. And I had discussions, and colleagues had discussions with Miss Gladu about those issues. She will vote with the government if there are votes relating to any aspect of that issue, as well as the rights of Canadians to be their whole selves, to love who they love, and to fully enjoy their rights under the Charters and Rights and Freedoms.
We know who Carney loves. It's money. That's who he loves. Moving ahead, there's people on the street being asked about Marilyn Gladu's crossing over to the Liberals.
Another MP just crossed the floor, so we're one seat away from a Liberal majority government. How do you feel about that?
I feel like with a majority government, more can actually get done, where if it's a minority, everyone's just going to be fighting all the time, because politics have become more about fighting instead of actually getting stuff done.
Honestly, I don't follow politics a ton, but if they cross the floor, probably for a good reason, so I guess that's a good sign, ultimately.
Like, I'm not a big fan of majorities, really, to be honest. I know that people think more things get done. I'm not a fan of kind of how the system is set up, period. So the Liberal government right now looks like, they'll be probably winning the next election.
And what's nice about having it be a majority, but also it's not too skewed in one direction, is I feel like you're still getting the opportunity for it to be like a proper government. You're hearing what everyone has to say, but things can get done.
But I think overall, he's representing Canada well and serving the people well.
I am.
These people have no idea what's going on in our country. I mean, that one guy said he doesn't follow politics, and he's like, oh, yeah, he's doing a good job. Like, he has no idea, and that's the problem. These people just going along with it. Oh, taxes keep going up. Everything gets more expensive. Oh, yeah. It must be Donald Trump. It must be Iran. Must be something else. Could never be the Liberals.
I'm an NDP. But love the Liberals, too.
Let's go. One more. Are we for it? Guys? I think so.
These people are the reason why we're in such a bad position now. Not surprised. This is Toronto. Not only are they uninformed, they're incoherent. If it's a majority government, how is that not skewed in one direction? Yeah, I mean, exactly. If it's a majority, then they can roll out the agenda, good or bad. Kirk Lubomov posting this: breaking, the Toronto Star is being sued for failing to publicly reveal that, according to the RCMP and according to this lawsuit, Justin Trudeau was watching kitty corn. He let me know that the Star had recently been told by the RCMP that Justin Trudeau was watching kitty corn, aka under P word, on his devices. He explained that the RCMP knew this because it was one of their responsibilities to monitor his phones and computers to ensure that they were not compromised by a foreign power. We've got the original poster here. It's this guy, Jeff Brown, author, publisher, teacher. He says, I just sued the Toronto Star for failing to publicly reveal information shared by the RCMP, re Justin Trudeau and Corn. After much reflection, I've decided to begin my litigation process related to events arising from the experiences I wrote about in Trudeau's kitchen. I'm not even talking about more specific details and consequences I shared in Justin Trudeau's kitchen, how the Star may have been negligent with respect to not telling my story. Those will be explored soon. I'm talking about the bigger picture consequences of media not sharing important details about political leadership with the citizenry and how we suffer in their absence. In this case, I began something that shared with me in 2021, and by then Toronto Star journalist Robert Cribb, to the fact that the RCMP had informed them that then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was watching the bad stuff on his devices. It was their job to witness him in order to ensure his devices weren't compromised by foreign power. When asked 2022 if this story was going to go public, Cribb confirmed that the original source was credible and affirmed that the story was coming. Where there's smoke, there's fire. It never came, and I believe it should have. I've struggled with this and various other things shared with me by media for a long time. At this link below is the filing itself for anyone interested in following the story, and he's got the Dropbox here. So there's someone sharing a video here. This talks about Picton, the Picton farm. We've got this article here, former Vancouver private school teacher sentenced for this bad stuff. It says accessing and possessing 41 images of this stuff. Looking down this article, you've got Ingvaldson had previously taught at another Vancouver private school, West Point Grey Academy, with federal Liberal leadership hopeful Justin Trudeau. That's right. So this article's back from 2013, so before Trudeau became prime minister. So apparently this guy was Justin Trudeau's roommate, as I just showed you, taught at West Point Grey Academy. Quite the allegations in this story. I mean, this is going everywhere. It's being posted on this account, pretty big account here. #1 in trucking traffic border police reports. Toronto and Oakville. I mean, I'm seeing this all over X right now. And as this account's pointing out, Bredge alleges investigative journalist Robert Cribb confirmed the source was credible and the story was going public, and then it never did. So interesting to see what comes from this and these allegations against Trudeau. Moving ahead, we've got Chris Barber from the Freedom Convoy getting sentenced to 18 months sentence at home. Crime was mischief, as Mario pointing out here. And he also notes Wasindin Akbari also got an 18-month sentence for planning to pow a synagogue and take out as many Jews as possible. This is the state of our country. We are not a real country anymore. When somebody plans to pow people, gets the same sentence as someone for protesting the government. Moving ahead, we've got Tom Quiggin here, I thought laying out this Alto situation beautifully. He says the Alto high-speed project is not designed for transportation. It is designed to transfer large sums of taxpayer money to friends of the Liberal Party through studies, assessments, planning, evaluations, appraisals, environmental reports, and Indigenous consultations. It is unlikely in extreme that it will ever get built. Alto, by the way, is simply a rebadging of SNC-Lavalin. I've mentioned this before. They're now just Atkins Realis, the same company that was charged with fraud in Hungary, in Montreal. This is just the Liberals taking our tax dollars and giving it to their friends.
They should have done everything to protect it from controversies. Right. And this is now putting Alto back into the headlines, undermining a minister who funds the project in many ways, is the finance minister, previously the industry minister, and raises a lot of questions. It seems like the ethics commissioner is giving him a pass, but the question is whether Canadians will give him a pass on this issue.
Yeah, and Dan, it speaks to that question of, another day that the Liberals may have to play defense on this. And is that not a bad day for the government?
Well, certainly I think the government led the day. The Prime Minister spoke at a major announcement today on housing and affordability that I think they are far more interested in being what leads the news. And so I take the point that obviously the government would prefer to be talking about other topics.
Little Dan Moulton here is insane. They want to be talking about other topics than what? Their corruption? Breaking the law?
I do think, we're here sort of spinning in circles about a discussion that really doesn't have much weight to it. The reality is here, the minister was proactive.
This is one of the worst conflicts that Parliament has seen in a long time.
In disclosing this potential conflict with the commissioner made it clear there was nothing to be concerned about. The minister maintained that he would recuse himself from the decisions. But I think I do take some issue with Kathleen's point there in terms of just a minister responsible for funding decisions here. Funding of this project predates this government. It predates this minister. And so I think to draw allusions to his decisions or the government's decisions and the spouses of a minister here, I think is a far stretch. And I think the Conservatives need to really rethink their strategy here in trying to push this one forward. I think we need to sort of maintain the decorum that we expect in this country of partners and families being off limits.
So can I just jump in on that, Mike?
Please do, yeah.
So the high-frequency rail was first introduced in 2021, and then it moved to the high-speed rail in 2025. It was actually February 2025 that it was first kind of moved forward as Alto. And then in the budget, of which Finance Minister Champagne, was the finance minister for, was the first time the money was really put into the books in the fall of just last year. So I guess, I agree that people need jobs. That's fair. And partners and people who are in politics need jobs too. They need to pay the bills. But the idea that the Office of the Ethics Commissioner is positing that because Minister Champagne has no role in the HR decisions of a Crown Corp, that therefore there is no conflict of interest is a bit suspicious to me. I will say this why, because if Alto isn't funded, then that job doesn't exist. And so that, well, yes, if sure, the Minister of Finance is not dealing with the HR decisions within that Crown Corp. But, ultimately, if that project doesn't go ahead, those jobs will be impacted. And so it is something there, Dan, and to dismiss it altogether, it'd be better just to have the transparency and the clarity up front and to have the machinery and government in place to make the decisions that these kind of shields and are put in place for and are decided as who will make the decisions so there's not that conflict of interest.
Yeah.
You got to wonder if Dan Moulton doesn't think this is a conflict of interest and there's nothing wrong here. What is he up to in his day-to-day life? Does he have conflicts of interest? It's pretty sad when you have Kathleen Monk calling this Liberal out. And she's right here. It's more than suspicious. It's obviously a big career move for his wife, and it's funded by the government, which Francois-Philippe Champagne is the finance minister. How are they all falling off the bus when they keep buying off MPs for power? We are no longer living in a democracy. It's unbelievable that people support this crap. They're like, oh yeah, Liberals, let's vote for that. They keep ripping us off and sending our money over to Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo when we never see any return for that. Send it over to Ukraine or wherever else. And then Canadians are starving. Yeah, let's vote for that.